I was sharing
syllabus.
Now let us get back to storage classes. Is the slide visible? Somebody send some chat. Reverse function code. Once explain reverse function code. Reverse function or recursive function. 51041. You have written reverse function code. Once explain me, sir. Is it reverse or recursive function? Reverse order. Means we want to print the reverse of a given number. Huh? Is that what you are asking? Please unmute yourself. 51041. So printing a reverse number, just a second, I load. Unable to speak, sir. Just a second, let me open F. See, one small information, if you don't have laptops, if you are using your mobile phones, then in that case, what happened? Oh, something is wrong. Yeah, am I audible now?
Yes.
So if you are using a mobile phone to execute your programs, you can use this application called as CXXDROID. Oh, what happened again? What is happening to my laptop today? Yeah. CXXDROID is an app which you can use to execute C programs up to a little extent till you purchase your laptops. Okay, you can manage, but not 100%. So try to use this application or any other application which is feasible for executing the C programs, or any online editors you can also use. Now let us get back to the reverse of a given. What we are saying is, if you are having 1, 2, 3, the order is, if you have to reverse, then it must be 321. So what exactly you are going to do? So first thing, as per the logic is concerned, you are going to divide this number by 10. So if you divide the number by 10, what is happening? Yeah, and 8. So suppose you are having 123 is the number. If you divide this number by 10, what is the value you are going to get? 12 tens are 120 you are going to get, and the remainder is 3. Is that right? So when you divide 123 by 10, you are going to get the remainder as 3. So what is this? This particular thing is called as a remainder, which you can get using the percentage symbol, and this one is called as quotient, which you are going to get using a slash operation. Quotient you are going to get using a slash operator, and this 3 is the remainder which you are going to you get using the percentile symbol. So first thing what we need to do is, we need to get 3 out of 123, then we need to get 2 out of 123, then we can 123, provided the given number is a 3-digit. If the given number is a 5-digit number, you have to repeat this extraction process 5 times. If it is a 2-digit number, we have to extract the digits twice. So it is uncertain that how many digits may be there for a number. Extract the number. So what are the steps involved? Just try to concentrate here. What you are going to do is, you are going to make First of all, take 123. You are going to divide. If you use a percentile symbol by 10, what is the result you can expect? 123 percentage 10. The resultant is
3.
3. The last digit will be the remainder. The last digit will be the remainder. Then what you are going to do? You are going to take the same number 123 quotient 10. So this particular part is a remainder and this particular part is quotient. So what is the quotient you are going to get? 12. Then take this particular 12 value, take in the next iteration, take the value 12, then do the same operation modulus 10. You are going to get the result as 2. Then perform the same operation using quotient operation, that is slash 10. You are going to get the result as 1. Now, similarly, what you are going to do is take 1 instead of 2 by 10, you are going to 1. Then you need to same number 1. Once the quotient as 0, you need to stop this repetition process of doing modulus operation, division operation, modulus operation, division operation, modulus operation, division operation. So these two steps are repeated till the quotient is 0. Till the quotient is 0. Now, what we are going to test this code. So just let we are going to have, instead of 123, we are going to accept it as some n value. So here you're going to write n percentile 10. So what you're going to do here is you're going to change, that is right, n percentage 10. What is this n percentage 10? You are going to get a remainder. Remainder is equal to n percentile 10. So next statement is by 10. So if you consider the 123 as n, you're going to write n is equal to n by 10. So we are having a remainder, we are having n. So every time what you need to do, if you concentrate here, you are going to add 3, then make 3 as 32, then make 32 as 321. So in order to do that, you will be having initially some variable called as sum, whose value is 0. Initialize a variable whose value is 0. Then what you are going to do, add that sum value. Sum is equal to sum into 10 plus remainder plus remainder. So these are the 3 steps which you are going to execute. Now initially the sum value is 0. Now if you concentrate here, what happens here in this step, the remainder is 3. The remainder is 3. So what is that? Sum is equal to sum into 10. 0 into 10. 0 time sum will be having value 3 in it. Next iteration. Now let us go to the next iteration. What is the next iteration? N percentage 10 equal to 2. You're getting 2. 12 by 10, you're going to get 1. Now quotient is, the remainder is 2. So what you're going to do, sum is equal to, just a second, somebody. So sum is equal to sum into 10. What is sum? Initially it is 0, then it became 3. 3 into 10, 30. 30 plus remainder, what is the remainder? 2. So we are going to get, instead of 3, we are going to get now the second instance, the remainder will be 32. For the next time, the remainder will be 32. Then let us execute one more time because the quotient is not equal to 0. So for the next time, what you are going to do is you are going to execute the next iteration, the same thing. Remainder is equal to n by n percentage 10. What is the n n is now value 1. This is the n value, this is the n value over here, and this is the n value over here. So n value is 1, 1% 10 equal to 1. You're going to get is equal to n by 10. So sum is equal to sum into 10. What is some value? 32. 32 into 10, 320. You are going to get plus reminder, that is 1. So you are going to get the resultant as 321, which is the reverse. Initially it was 123, n value was 123, n value became 12 here. N value is 123, n value became 12, n value became 1, then n value became 0. So you are going to repeat these set of statements. 0, you can like this, while n greater than 0. So you can write while n greater than 0, repeat the following steps. You are going to write repeat the following steps. Which steps? These 3 steps. Which steps? These 3 steps. Reminder is equal to n percentage 10, n is equal to n by 10, sum is equal to sum into 10 plus a reminder. By the end of this loop, when n value becomes 0, your sum will be having 321. So you can print the reverse of this number. Somebody sent a chat. Isn't clear now? Whether my voice is clear now? Hello? Please somebody speak out. Yes, sir is saying, someone is saying yes, somebody is saying no.
Sir, it's clear, sir.
Yeah, good, thank you. So this is how you are going to find the reverse of a given number. I'll repeat it again, don't worry. Something is striking, maybe you're right. So initially we are going to take one n value. The n value, for example, we are going to take a memory location whose value is n, and one more memory location we are going to take the name of this is reverse or reminder. So the name of this memory location is n, and the name of this memory location is reminder. We already have some. Let us clear this sum value. Okay, so let us remove this sum also. So remove. Okay. So whose value is sum. So let us execute the first time. What is n to accept n value, one value? So here you write 23. Value of n is 3. Here check while 123 is than 0. Yes. While voice is not clear. Whether my voice is clear?
Somewhat breaking, sir.
Somewhat breaking. Just
Sometimes breaking, sir.
yeah. Voice is breaking. Okay, just wait.
Yes, sir.
Wait for 2 minutes. I'll restart my system. Let's see, it may fix the problem. I'll pause the recording. So in this class, we are going to start the concept of storage classes. Now we are having 4 types of storage classes. So before that, we are going to use where the variable is stored. What the storage class represents is where, yeah, it started, recording is started, nothing to worry. So storage classes tells where the variable is stored, what is the initial value of the variable, and scope of the variable which a variable is accessed. and the life of the variable. So these are the four things which are represented in a storage class. What is that? That is where the variable is stored, then initial value of the variable, then scope of the variable, which a variable is accessed, and life of the variable. Now we are having four different types of storage classes. Those are automatic storage class, register storage class, static storage class, external storage class. So these are the four different types of storage classes are there in C, which represents these four attributes. What are those four attributes? Where the variable is stored, initial value of the variable. What is the initial value? Is it a garbage value? Is it 0 or something else? What is the scope of the variable? Which variable is accessed? Then life of the variable. Now for all these types, we are having different types. Now let us see, just a second. Let me load that image for you. Just a second. Image. New share. So I hope you can see this particular diagram or picture which states the type of the storage specifier, that is auto. Now the storage for auto variable is at stack, then initial value is a garbage value. The scope will be within the block, means open and closing flower bracket, and the life is end of the block. Once the variable or the compiler comes out of that particular block, the automatic variables will die. That is what it says. Auto means the storage allocated is on the stack memory and initial value is a garbage value. Then the scope is within the block and the life ends or life is end of the block. Within the block, that automatic variables are going to be alive, and once the compiler stops execution of those flower brackets, then that particular automatic variable will die. That is what we say. So the first one is auto, and the storage class is created is on stack. Then garbage value is the initial value, and the scope is within the block, and once it comes out of the end of the block, the life is going to get over. The next one is extern. Extern is going to get created on a data segment. It is not on the stack, it is created on the data segment. An extra segment will be there inside the memory, and the initial value is 0. If you don't initialize that variable called as extern variable, it will be having by default a value of 0, whereas automatic variables will have a value of garbage. Then it is also considered as global, but it has to execute on multiple files. Means you are going to create a variable in one program and simultaneously you are going to execute another program in which you are going to use. We'll see this example in our today's class. And what is the lifespan? Till the end of the program. Once the compiler stops execution or ends the execution, then the extern variables are going to die. Till that part, the extern variables will remain inside the memory of the system. So extern is another kind of variable. How to declare, etc., we are going to see it, don't worry. So extern is another type of storage class where the memory allocated is on data segment and the initial value is a 0. Where what is the scope is global scope within multiple files, not on a single file, in multiple files, and its lifetime is till end of the program. The next one is a static storage specifier. Static storage specifier. It is also created on a data segment. The initial value is also 0. Extern is also having value 0. Static variables also have the value 0. and the life or the scope is for that static variable is within the block. Within the block, it may be a function, it may be a conditional statement, or it may be a loop within open and closing flower bracket. Next, the lifespan of a static variable is till the end of the program. The lifespan of static variable is till the end of the program. And the last one is register variable, register auto specifier, auto storage class. The storage is on the CPU. Every system will have a central processing unit. In that you will be having registers. Maybe some registers are AX, BX, DX and CX. Maybe you may be having program counter, memory address register, data register, maybe F0 to F32 if it is a 32-bit register, R0 to R32. Along with that, we will be having extra registers like F0 to F32 if it is a 32-bit register, that is CPU. If it is a 64-bit CPU, it will be having F0 to F63 and R0 to R63. In these register memory locations, it is going to create a variable, or the memory is allocated on the CPU. So we should not make use of registers most often because they are created on the register. And these are the fastest accessible memory locations because the memory will be allocated on data segment or stack inside RAM. Whereas the register variables are created on the CPU itself. Whenever the CPU has to execute static, external, auto, it has to go to RAM, get the data or fetch the data. Whereas coming to register, the CPU will have on its own registers and it can easily access this. So the time consumed to get or fetch the data is very less compared to other storage classes. So the register variable will be created on the CPU register, and the initial value is again garbage value, and the lifespan or the scope is within the block, and once the block is over, the life of the register variable ends. I hope this picture is very clear regarding the various storage classes. What is the initial values, what is the scope, what is the life. Okay, so now let us get back to the slide. Is there any doubt in this particular picture? Otherwise we'll get back to the slide. I hope there is no doubt. So we are having automatic storage classes, register storage classes, static storage classes, and external storage class. So now let us see one by one. In other words, we are going to repeat the same story. What is automatic storage class? A variable is stored in the memory. The default value is a garbage value. The scope is local to the block where it is declared. Local to the block where it is declared. What do you mean by a block? What do you mean by block? Just I'll show you one example of block. I hope you can see the environment of dev. So this is opening flower bracket and this is closing flower bracket. So this can be considered as a block. This can be considered as a block. Maybe in the code you may be writing something like this. If you may be writing some condition, for example, 1 means always true. If you are writing 1 inside if, it means always true. Then we are writing opening and flower bracket, closing flower bracket. We are printing some instruction. We are having some instruction in the if condition, say hi. So this is also considered as a block. Within open flower bracket and the closed flower bracket, we can consider it as a block. So let us get back to the slide. Yeah. So scope is local. Scope is local to the block where it is declared. Where it is declared. Then coming to life, life is within the block in where it is declared. Wherever the variable is declared, there is the life. Next, automatic variable can be declared using the keyword auto. So here you need to use the keyword called as auto. Example, auto int a. By default, all the variables are automatic. For example, if you write integer a, this is also an automatic variable, or you can also write similar to this one is auto int a. Even you can declare as integer a or auto int a represents same, that is automatic variables. So far, whatever the variables that we declared in our programming, it may be in introduction to programming or so forth, we have used only automatic variables so far. We didn't touch the rest of them, that is static variable, registers and external. So today we are going to cover all of them. So in our example, if we are declaring a variable, say integer I, then we are printing, let us remove this if condition not required. So let us remove this also.
Sir, not visible, sir. Screen.
Screen is not visible. Thank you for responding. I thought it is visible. Wow. Is it visible now?
Yes, sir.
Great. Thank you. Please updating me if these kinds of things repeat. So this is an example for automatic variables. So integer I, you can declare integer I, or you can declare auto integer j, both are same. Integer I is also automatic variable. Even if you don't write, by default every variable is an automatic variable, or you can declare the variable as j. Now let us print the value. Do we have garbage value as per dev environment is concerned? Let us cross check. So some compilers are going to give the resultant as /0, some are going to give a garbage value. /n I is equal to %d, comma j is equal to %d. So we can use one more /n. So I is equal to %d /n, j is equal to %d. Let us display both the values I comma j. So let us execute this program. So what we are doing here, we are printing I value, we are printing j value. That's it, nothing more than that. We have declared two variables, integer I, auto integer j, then we are printing the values. So some compilers are going to give you a value 0, some compilers are going to give you a garbage value. As per theory is concerned, you need to get a garbage value for automatic variables as per the theory is concerned. So let us execute in dev environment and see whether we are getting 0 or garbage. So you can see here I is equal to 0 and j is equal to 1. Did we initialize any of the variables? No, we didn't initialize I equal to 0 or j is equal to 1 like that. Now these two values we can consider as garbage values, because here for one variable we are getting 0, for another variable we are getting the value as 1. Though we have not initialized. Let us write auto here and see whether both are going to get value 1. Execute, compile and run. Still we are getting the same output. I is equal to 0, j is equal to 1. So these two values we can consider as garbage values. Garbage values. Now if you want to execute this particular statement outside the block, here block means this closing brace and this opening flower bracket. Now if you write above that or after the function, here we are accessing the variables. I want to know what is I value, what is j value. Though we didn't declare them as global variables, we want to execute. But the scope or the lifespan is between these two flower brackets only as per theory. So we need to get an error now. So we are getting an error. What is that error? Unknown type name I and unknown type name j. So the scope or the lifespan is between the opening flower bracket and closed flower bracket for a automatic variable. Is there any doubt in the program? So auto is an optional. Even if you write, even if you ignore, then it is called as an automatic variable. How to declare? You need to write the keyword called as auto. Integer j or integer I is also called as automatic variable. The lifespan will be between opening flower bracket and closed flower bracket. The default value of automatic variables is a garbage value. It is created on the stack memory. Is this clear? Shall we go to the next type? At least somebody respond, Baba.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, please respond. Otherwise, I feel that I have got disconnected. So this is one more example. Auto integer I equal to 10, printf percentage di, 10 example, the same thing. Okay. So the next one is a register storage class. The next one is register storage class. A register storage class is created on the CPU. Every central processing unit or the processor will have registers on it. Some of the registers are AL, that is accumulator. Next, what is the next instruction? That is program counter will have the address of next instruction. PC, then we are having memory address register, memory data register. We are having some more registers like AX, BX, DX and CX. Then we'll be having a stack register, etc. Many registers will be there in a processor. Along with that, we'll be having general purpose registers like R0 to R31 and F0 to F31. F0 to F31 are floating point registers, and R0 to R31 are integer registers. If it is a 32-bit computer, if it is a 64-bit computer, you will be having R0 to R63 and F0 to F63. In these registers, we are going to use and make use in the program. So we are going to see register storage class. A variable is stored in a register instead of RAM. All the variables or automatic variables, static variables will be created inside the RAM, and coming to variable of type register is stored in register instead of RAM. The default value is a garbage value. Scope is local to the block where the register variable is created, similar to auto. Life is within the block, similar to automatic variable. Where it is declared is you can use. So let us see one example. Yeah, what are, when a variable stored in register, it has high speed. Why it is having high speed? Because the RAM is external to the processor. Processor will be available on motherboard and RAM is also available on motherboard. Two different modules. Okay, motherboard is on the motherboard, RAM is in some other slot, processor is on some other slot. If you might open a CPU or a laptop, you will see a processor separately, a RAM separately. So in order to fetch the data from the RAM or any secondary storage device, it needs some CPU cycles. It has to spend 1 or 2 CPU cycles to fetch the data. Now those CPU cycles can be avoided if the memory allocated is on registers. That's why we are going to say that when a variable is stored in register, it is accessible at a higher speed. The number of registers are limited in a processor. We have only limited number of registers. Whereas coming to RAM, we can create n number of variables inside RAM on which a stack is created, because nowadays RAM is of 4 GB, 8 GB, 16 GB, 32 GB. So that is huge. Whereas a register will be having only numbers, maybe 32 registers, 64 registers or 128 registers, not more than that. So the number of registers on a processor is very limited when we compare with respect to RAM or any other virtual memory. If the registers are not free, it will convert to automatic variable. Even though you create a variable as a register variable, if there is no empty registers in the CPU, then it is going to automatically convert that register variable to an automatic variable. Is this clear? Is this point clear?
Yes, sir.
The registers are limited in a processor. Why? Because it depends on the bit rate of the processor. 32-bit, 64-bit processor, 128-bit processor. So if it is 128-bit processors, we will be having 128 registers for integer variables, 128 registers for floating point variables, F0 to F127, R0 to R127. Now, even you are having 127-bit CPU, you are having only 127 registers. So the programs which are under execution will make use of registers. So if there is no free space or free register, what it does, it is going to simply convert a register variable into automatic variable. So that is the second point. Now let us see the third point. The mostly length of the registers are 2 bytes. This is another hazard. Coming to a 32-bit compiler, whatever we are using, that is dev, etc., a integer variable is allocated with 4 bytes of memory, whereas a register is capable of only 2 bytes to be allocated. So we cannot store a value greater than its size, that is not more than 2 bytes. So we cannot store the value which is not more than 2 bytes. We can store only 2 bytes of memory, means 2 to the power of 16. So if it is so, it will convert to automatic variable. So this is the second case when the value is converted to automatic variable is if the number or the value that you want to store in a register variable is more than 2 bytes, it simply converts it into automatic variable, create it on RAM using stack memory data structure. So one case is if the registers are not free, it is going to convert it into automatic variable. Second thing, if the size of the value of the variable, register variable, is more than 2 bytes, it simply converts into automatic variable, store it. So registers variables cannot be declared using keyword register. Register variable can be declared using the keyword register. So you can see here we are having register int a. This is how you are going to create a register variable, register int a. So let us see one example for creating a register variable. So let us get back to dev environment. So I hope you can see this dev environment. So let us print register int k. So this is how you are going to create a register variable, a register variable. Then let us print the k value. So we said that a register variable will have a garbage value in it. So we are going to write k is equal to %d. Then k, let us cross check the garbage value we are also having along with the register variable. We are having automatic variables, that is I and j. Along with that, we are also having one more variable called as k. So k is having, now see, I value 0, initially I value was 0, then j value is 1 if you recollect. Now it is 25, means the values are changing. Then k value is 1. Though we didn't initialize, we are getting garbage values. I value as 0, j value as 25, k value as 1. So now k is a register variable. Is that clear? This is what the maximum we can see for a register variable. We can't see whether that is created on the register CPU or not. Okay. So this is what is the maximum we can do. Now let us get back to the slide. Let us see the next one, that is static variable or static storage class. Static storage class. Now coming to a static storage class, the variable is stored inside the memory, similar to RAM. It is also going to store in RAM. Now the difference between automatic variable and register variable is, and static variable is, static variables will have a value 0 in it. This is created on the data segment. In memory we are having data segment, code segment, etc. So static variables and external variables are created on data segment. So that's why we are saying here memory instead of saying RAM. Here we are saying memory, not on RAM. So variable is stored in memory, default value is 0. Coming to automatic variables and register variables have a garbage value in it. Here the default value is 0. Next, scope is local to the block. Within the block, the memory, the variable is accessible. Life is value of the variable persists between different function calls. So I'll explain this concept. Life is value of the variable persists between different function calls. Let us see one example. So we are going to declare one function. Let us say integer, let us say void fun. Fun is the name of the function, void fun. So I'm going to say integer I is equal to 0. Then we are going to write printf percentage I, comma I. Simply we are going to print the I value, nothing more than that. Slash n. Then what I'm going to do is, before this I'm going to write I plus plus. Initially the I value is 0. I plus plus means I become 1. Then it is going to print I value as 1. So I'm going to write I is equal to 1. Nothing is there. Simply we are going to call this function 3 times. For example, fun, then a semicolon. Similarly, let me copy paste this code for 5 times. Okay, I'm calling this function 5 times. What is going to happen? Every time the memory location is created called as I value is 0, so it will be incremented to 1. Then it is going to print 1. Then cursor comes to the next function call. Again, a memory location is created. Again, it is incremented. Again, printed. The cursor goes to the next function call. Then again, memory location is created, incremented, printed. So this process continues for 5 times. Let us see the output. So I value is 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, right? I hope you can see the screen. Yes. So all the 5 values, 5 times I value is only 1. There is no change. Why? Because this is a automatic variable. Let us keep auto and cross check whether we are going to get the same output. Compile and run. Yes, same output. Now let us change the automatic storage class to register. Register is a keyword. Auto static is a keyword. So register int I equal to 0, I plus plus, printf I value. Let us execute. That's great. And we are getting I value is 1, 1, 1, 1. So let us get back to the slide. What the point says, life is value of the variable persists between different function calls. N number of times you are going to call, every time a new memory location is not created, the value persists. Value persists means the value will be there. It will not be removed. In all these cases, what happens? You are making a function call. Whenever you make a function call, the memory is created. It is having something called as I. It is having a memory location called as I. Somebody is disturbing. Please mute yourself. Thank you. So you are having a memory location called as I. Whenever you make a function call called as fun, the memory location is created. So all this code is going to get executed. So this code is going to get executed. Once this code is executed, this particular memory will be removed. This particular memory will be removed when the cursor goes back to the next function call, to the calling function. This memory will be removed. Again, when we are going to encounter the next function call, the next function call is executed now. So the next function call is going to again create the memory. Again, it is going to create the memory. Again, store the value 0 in it, increment it by 1. Then after that, it has to return. When it is going to return to the next function call, this particular memory will be destroyed. This particular memory will be destroyed. After that, what happens? The next function call is going to get executed. So now the next function call will be executed. So this function call is going to create the memory. Whenever it creates the memory, then the memory will be created again. Again, the I value will be 0. Again, it is going to increment the I value by 1, print it. Then once after that, it has to return back. So it returns to the next statement and the memory that is allocated will be destroyed. Okay. So this process goes on till you are going to use an automatic variable or a register variable. Once you use the static variable, then this memory will be persistent. Persistent means this memory will not be deleted. What happens now? Let us cross check. What is the initial function call? The first function call is this one, fun. So the memory location is created. So we are having register int I equal to 0. So initially the I value is 0. The I value is 0. Next, I plus plus, now I became 1. Now I became 1. What about this 0? This 0 is lost. This 0 is lost. It is written with 1. After this, it is going to print the value 1. It prints the value 1. So you're going to get the output as 1. So you're going to get the output as 1. After this, what happens? The cursor returns back to the next statement. Goes to the next statement because all the statements have been executed. Register int I equal to 0. 0 was there. I plus plus I became 1. Printf I. So I value 1 is printed. Then it goes to the next statement. So when it goes to the next statement, the memory will be removed for all the other types. Whereas coming to static, this memory will not be removed. This memory will not be removed if you are using a static variable, static memory location. So what happens? It will not be removed. For the next time when you call the second function, when you call with the next function, this memory will be intact. It is not going to execute this single line. It is not going to execute this particular line called as register int I. No memory allocation. Already I value is 1. Here I value is 1. So it is going to increment the I plus plus. Now I value becomes 2. 1 was lost and you will be getting the I value as 2. Then it prints 2. So this process goes on. So what you're going to do here, simply change the storage class from register to static. And see, this function call is going to print 1. This function call is going to print 2, 3, 4, 5. Let us execute the code and see. So we got I value as 1, I value as 2, I value as 3, I value as 4, I value as 5. So this process continues, and we said that the initial value of a static variable is 0. Let us remove this 0, execute it. Still you are going to get the same output. I value is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So whenever we want to count how many times a function is executed, you can use static variables. So if you want to make count of how many times a function is called, you can make use of static variables. So this static variable is going to say how many times the function is being called. Here we are going to call 5 times. So here I value is printed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is this clear regarding static variables? Wow. As there is no sound from you, I consider that it is understood. So let us get back to slide. So I hope you understood. Life is value of the variable persists between different function calls. Okay, it will not be recreating the memory location as it is created on data segment. So static variables can be declared using the keyword static int a. This is how we create it. Now let us see external storage class. External storage class. Yeah, somebody sent a message. Sir, for resistor and auto, same output we are getting, then what is the difference? So register and auto, all the values are automatic. They are having garbage value in it. Register is also automatic. Register is also having a garbage value in it. What is the difference? The automatic variables are created on RAM. Register variables are created on CPU. That is the only difference, nothing else. Okay. Provided that you are going to provide the data or the value of 2 bytes, not exceeding 2 bytes. If you give more than 2 bytes of data for a register variable, it will automatically convert into automatic variable. And if there is the availability of register, then only it is going to create a register variable. Otherwise, it is going to convert the register variable into automatic. So we can say that the difference between a register variable and automatic variable is the register variables are created on CPU, automatic variables, static variables, external variables are created on RAM. That's the difference. Only accessing time. If you are creating games, if you are creating a program which must take less amount of time, go with registers. But registers are limited. You should not forget that concept. If performance is the issue, go with register variables. Okay, only the memory allocation, where the memory is created, on the RAM or on the register. That's the only difference. Rest of the program remains same. The logic, the operations you perform will be same. Is that clear? 1035, 51035, is that clear? If so, I'll move to the slide. Yeah, thank you. So external storage class is the last one. So we have seen automatic storage class are those variables which are created automatically on the RAM. It will be having a garbage value in it, and the scope of the variable will be within the block, opening flower bracket, close flower bracket. Second one is we have seen registers. Register variables are created on the CPU, provided you provide the data for a register variable not exceeding 2 bytes. And if the register is available, then only it is going to allocate on register memory. Otherwise, if the value exceeds more than 2 bytes or there is no empty register, it is going to convert that variable into automatic variable by default. And the third one, what we have seen is a static memory location, that is static storage class. The static variable will have a default value of 0, and it will persist within the function calls also. Okay, it is not going to create multiple times. The scope of the variable will be throughout the program. And the last one is external storage class. External storage class means I want to create a variable in one program and I want to use it in another program, 2 different programs. Okay, let us write one program for main and one program for external. You can create these things for variables as well as functions. You can have automatic variables, automatic functions. You can have static memory, static variables, static functions, register variables, register functions you can't have because the memory limit is 2 bytes. And a program, a function will have more than 2 bytes. In that case, the function cannot be created as a register. So the last one is external. External means we are creating the variable in one program. It is under execution. We are going to access it in another program. So 2 programs must be executed simultaneously. So this example I am going to show you using dev. Okay, you can try using dev. I didn't work on code blocks or some other editor. You can work it on and you can give the feedback how the others are working, code blocks or Turbo C. Turbo C won't execute anyhow. You can use Linux also for executing external variables. I'll show that. So external storage class, variable is stored on the memory. Memory means data segment. Default value is 0. Scope is end of the program. Till you terminate the program, this program is going to work. So life is within the block in end of the program. Okay, so the lifespan is within the block as well as till the end of the program. External variable can be declared using the keyword extern. External variable can be declared using the keyword extern. So how many programs we need to write? We need to write 2 programs, compile them, execute them. Okay, so you have to write 2 programs, compile them, execute them. Then extern is used to give a reference of a global variable. So extern is used to give a reference of global variable. So rest of them can be global or local, but extern is purely global. It is not a local variable. It is global variable. Whereas automatic can be declared as global, can be declared as local. Static can be declared as global, can be declared as local. Extern can be register can be declared as global, can be declared as local. Whereas coming to extern variables can be created only as global variables. Only as global variables. So this is sample code. Extern int show, not exactly. Yeah. So let us write the program, then we'll come back to this example. Let us go back to dev. So dev, yeah, share. So I hope you can see dev environment. Is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
So what I'm going to do here is, I'm going to remove this stuff. I don't want a function here. First, let me write the main function. So what I want to do here is, I want to declare a function. Okay, so let us write something called as, let us take a variable called as count, or some variable your wish. Let us say val is equal to 55. Now what I want to do, I want to create a variable called as val, and let me declare it as a global variable, integer val. Okay, why we are creating global variable? Because extern is going to be called as a global variable, and we are going to supply only global variables. So integer val is equal to 55. So if you print the val, you are going to get the value as 55. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to call a function which is available in a external file. So main is one program, external file is having another program. So I'm going to call a function called as extern underscore display, extern underscore display. So I'm going to call this function extern underscore display, nothing more than that, return 0. So extern underscore display is a function which we are going to call. So as you are declaring here, as you are calling here, we need to have a function declaration. So function declaration means prototype. Simply we are going to write void extern display. This is a normal process. As per our previous classes, if you want to write the function definition after the main, you are going to write the prototype or function declaration. Similarly, here also you are going to write function declaration, and this one is function call. This ends our first program. So we are not defining this program here. We are defining this program in another program. We are going to define this function in another program. So here we are declaring the function prototype. One modification what you have to do is, here you have to write that this is the extern function. It is not a variable, it is a function, extern function. So this function is under the execution of another program. Dear compiler, cross-check this particular function in the memory which is having another program under execution. That is what we are saying. So extern is a keyword which says that particular function is available in some other program which is under execution. So this is function call. We are not defining this function at the bottom of this program. So let us compile. We are going to get an error. So what you are going to do, click on file, new, source file. Click on file, new, source file. Is the new source file visible? One is main.c. Another file I have opened. Is that visible? Main.c, untitled 2.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Great. So untitled 2. What untitled 2 will have? Untitled 2 will have the second program. The second program. So in the second program, what you are going to write is, first you are going to write hash include stdio.h, because I want to use printf statement. So I'm going to use hash include stdio.h. Then what I'm going to do, I am having a variable which is a global variable called as val. whose value is 55. So here I am having a global variable. I have to declare that again. And now this is a external variable. Means this value is available in some other programs memory which is under execution. So that's why we are going to declare it as extern int val. Okay, external int val is a memory location which is created for some other program and which is under current execution. That's why you are writing a keyword here, extern. Here we are not writing extern because this is the variable created for this program. And this function is written as extern because this function is available in some other program. So we have to define this void extern display. We have to define. So I'm copying this one. Then I'm going to write this particular function definition. Nothing more than it. So I'm going to write printf. I am in external file. Okay, I am in external file. Then I'm going to write printf /n val is equal to, or you can write extern val is equal to %d comma val. That's it, nothing more than this. I'm not assigning any value. You cannot say that you are going to get a garbage value. Okay, you are going to get a garbage value. So what we are doing here, we are going to simply write two printf statements. I am in external file. Okay, printf extern value is equal to %d. Now here when we print, we need to get the value from here 55. Okay, or you can write the current year 2021. Okay, you need to get 2021 whose value is val, and we are not passing it as an argument. Simply we are calling the function. You have to concentrate that we are not passing the value. Okay, so val is a memory location. So what is going to happen now? We are having two memory locations. One memory location is related to program one. Say the name of the program is main.c. Okay, the next program is one more program we are going to write, say second.c. I haven't saved it. I will be saving, don't worry. So second.c. So two programs. Now what we are having, integer val. So we are having a memory location called as val. So the name of this memory location is val. Okay, so here we are making a function called extern void extern display. So we are going to make a function call which is available in another program which is under execution at simultaneous time. So here what we are going to do is we are going to make a function call which is void extern underscore, I will write ext underscore disp, short form, don't worry, just for our understanding I am writing it in a short form because the place is not sufficient here. So void external display, some function is there, it is having some code in it. So we are having two printf statements. We are having two printf statements. Now, whenever you say extern display means we are making a function call. So here we are going to say ext underscore disp two dots. Now, whenever it says call this particular function, it is going to search in the memory which program is under execution, because we are declaring it as a extern void extern display. So here we are specifying that it is an extern. So it is going to check in the memory, do we have any other program which is having a function like this? Yes, then execute it. When it is executing, it is fetching the data. What is this doing? Fetching the data of val, whatever it is. Now in this case, the example is saying that it is having 2021. So this 2021 will be printed over here. Is this clear? Two different programs. Okay, now let us get back to the program. I'm clearing this. So let me save this particular program, Control S. I have saved main.c, there is no star. Coming to untitled 2, I have to save as second.c. You can see here there is no second in the list, second.c. So we got second.c. Now after saving the program, you have to compile both the programs once. So I'm compiling, don't execute, simply write compile. Okay. 0 errors, 0 warnings. 0 errors, 0 warnings. So this program has no errors. So we have compiled first, second .c, then let us get back to main.c, compile the program main.c. Again, we have no errors, no warnings. Now, if you recollect, val is 2021, execute the program, compile and run. That's it. So you got the output as I am in external file. This is available in second.c. I am in external file. Can you see the output?
No,
So
sir.
I am in external file. So we got the output as I am in external file. Okay. And see here, extern val is equal to 2021. So val 2021 is getting printed. So we are using two programs simultaneously. One is having 2021, another one is having the print function. Second.c is having the print function, main.c is having the value 2021. Let us change it to 55. Okay, now let us execute it again. I'm going to stop the execution, save, execute, compile and run. So now you can see that the value is 55. So the value is changing. As the value you are going to change. Here we are having value 55, 55 is going to get changed. Is this clear? So what are the steps to execute an external file? First, write both the programs, compile both the programs, execute the program which is having main. So you can have main in only one program, not in two programs. In second.c, you should not have main. In second.c, you should not have main. Only functions will be there. Whereas coming to main.c, you will be having one main function. So whichever is having main, you have to execute that program. You have to execute that particular program. So this is regarding storage classes. We are having 4 storage classes. Automatic, by default, if you declare a variable without any storage class, it is called as or converted to automatic storage class. Second one is register storage class. Register storage classes are those which are created on the CPU. If the CPU is having empty registers and the value that is stored in those variables is less than 2 bytes, then the memory is allocated on storage, that is register. Otherwise, the register variables will be automatically converted to automatic type. Third one we have seen is a static variable. A static variable will be having the default value of value 0. It will be created only once and the value will persist throughout the functions. Persist throughout the functions means it is not going to recreate every time. And the last one what we have seen is extern. Extern means we are having two programs. One program will be having value. The second program will have a function to print the first value. Compile both the programs, execute. Is this clear? So now we'll take a break for around 15 minutes. Then we are going to come back. So what is the time now?
258, sir.
2:58, almost 3, right?
Yes, sir.
So we'll be come back at 3:15. Okay?
Okay, sir.
At 3:15, I'm going to make breakout rooms. Then you have to execute 3 programs. I'll share the 3 programs. Who will be executing and showing the 3 programs to the faculty will be getting attendance for all the 3 hours. Otherwise, you will be getting the attendance only for 1 hour. Okay? So you are going to execute 3 programs. First one, write a C program. Is the notepad visible? Yeah, I hope so. Write a C program to accept 2 1D arrays, one dimensional arrays, and merge into third one. So this is first program. Second program, write a C program to accept, and you have to do all these programs using functions to accept, print, multiply two matrices using functions. So one function for accepting, one function for printing, another function for multiplying two matrices. Then third one, you have to write a C program, to implement storage classes. Only 3 programs. Storage classes means what we have discussed so forth. Okay, these are the programs that you have to show after 15 minutes. So we are going to come back, break till 3:15, and you have to show all these outputs before 4. Okay, so I'm going to stop